Alright, can you guys hear me? Hello? So this has been a bit of a struggle to get this started. But now that it is, hopefully we can continue on with the lecture. So, today's lecture is going to be on enclosure attacks. Basically, different formations that you can make with the 3-4 enclosure. And and you know how you can attack it, how you can get in there. I mean, one problem that I see in many games is that someone will build up a formation like the formation we have here, and then people will just assume that oh well, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do in there. It's already territory. But in reality, there are a few vital points in here that if you know where to look, you can do a substantial amount of damage to your opponent's stones. So this, of course, is a very common framework that Black will build. Yeah, so this, of course, is a very common framework that Black will build. And one move that we should look at before we really go into other invasion techniques is a few variants into the probe here. This is not the main focus of this lecture, but the probe is still part of it. So we'll go over it. So yeah, this looks funny at first glance. It's a strange second line move underneath the corner enclosure. So can anyone tell me what's the purpose of this strange move? What's it doing? Yeah, it creates AGA, potentially build influence. It can, yeah, depending on what Black wants to do, the idea is either to A, live in the corner, or B, separate R11 from his friends in the corner. It's not a very good time Suji though, because if you play it at the wrong time, it can sometimes negatively affect you. So if Black, say, defends like this, one possible reply for White is to respond with a Hane of his own. And if Black stands up, White can play here, and suddenly we have a situation where R10 is separated from his friends. And depending on what's going on in the lower right corner, sometimes this can be a very powerful attack. But that's just one response that Black has. Another response is R15. This move is, I guess you would call a more defensive move. This basically concedes White the corner. It gives White the corner, but in exchange, Black gets a pretty strong shape on the outside. And this is basically the expected finish for what it should look like at the end of the day. So White is still in the corner, and Black gets himself a big outside position. Now, another variant that White can play, we just played White taking the corner like this. If White wants to be fancier, he can actually play S15 here. And now it gets kind of interesting. So if Black just defends, well, White is more than happy to take a bigger corner than before. You know, White's corner is now bigger than it was if he had just played R18 directly. If Black goes to cut here, White can manage a small life for himself on the side of the board. And it's not anything amazing, but White can live, and this, what was Black's area, has now has a live White group in it. Now, of course, you can obviously argue that White or Black has gained a very, very big wall. Yeah, well, exactly, and so it depends. You know, how useful is this wall in the game? And that will depend upon the rest of your board, whether or not this was a good move or not. So it will entirely depend upon what else is going on in the board, to if this is a viable strategy or not. That's why probes are potentially very tricky to use. If you play them and use them at the wrong time, you can really dig yourself into a pretty deep hole. And there are lots more variations to the probe as well. But I just wanted to go over a few of those briefly because they're going to be involved in the main variants that we're looking at. So the most basic situation that we're going to look at is white has a stone here at R8, and generally this this occurs when generally speaking, this occurs when white has a stone maybe here or a similar spot, and usually the local response for black is what? If black is responding to R8, what's the local response? Yep, jump. Counter pincer. Oh yeah. Yeah, P10. This is the standard way of playing. And so then the question becomes, well, okay, black could play here, but what if black doesn't? What if black decides that he's not going to respond to this move? And so then the question is, okay, well, what can white do about it? Is there what might be a good move for white to play in the upper right now to interrupt black's framework? Let's see, ideas? Let's see, we have R12. We have P11. P15. R12. R13. R15. Lots of interesting ideas. R14. Why don't we just mention every move out there in the world? So yeah. All right, let's leave it at these 6 for now. These are good moves to look at. Okay, for starters. So let's take a look. So P11. This move is a little bit nice, I think, to black. If black just wants to play simply, he can just play here. And unless white can do something nice with his wall, this is usually very nice to black, because black now has a very large solid corner and a nice side as well. This is a good chunk of, yeah, 4th line, almost 100% solid points that can't be touched. So unless these 2 white stones that white has just played are very, very useful for white, then he probably shouldn't play this way. So let's see. We have this is a standard reduction technique. This is playable here, yeah. I guess the key thing is it's still a little too nice, though. We don't really need to be this nice to black at the moment. I mean, usually black can just reply here now, and this works pretty well with his R10 stone. And so, I mean, white has continuations, of course, around O17, but usually a move like P15 is best when, there's maybe an extension on both sides. And now P15 is really, really good, because in this kind of situation, if black replies here, white can counterattack right here. And rather than focus on R10, he can go to split up K17. So, and there's all sorts of variations that can arise here. We'll go over those later, actually. There's a huge number of variations that can spiral from this move. So, P15 is a little bit too nice. So, yeah, really, one of our 3rd line invasion moves is going to be our most likely candidate for correct move. So this is a possibility. This is we just talked about this. This is a perfectly viable move, and there's nothing wrong with it. You absolutely can play this way. So this is we could call this correct answer A. This is a perfectly playable or a perfectly fine way to play. The other common way that you will find is A, right here, focusing on the R10 stone. While it might be tempting to play the two middle moves at D and F, both of them are probably not correct. The problem with this move is that, well, even if black just plays very, very defensively like this, it's hard to say, well, what's white's follow-up? Okay, so he jumps. And then, black jumps, and both black groups are basically safe. And white's the group with no base. And this is if black plays nicely. I mean, black could also consider playing rather viciously. Say a move like this. And, this is very hard for white to play against, I think. Maybe he can squeeze himself out, I don't know. But even if he can, he's just going to be a string of stones with no eyes. And it is just not a pleasant way to play, I guess. It's not very easy. Black's corner is tight and strong, and yeah, this move is too close to it. Same basic idea with this move. I mean, this is just not normally played. It puts less pressure on R10 is the main issue, and it's a little bit better than white R14, but this is still potentially painful for white. Black can get something like this, and it's difficult to say that white will be able to end this very well. I mean, even if white pushes in there and continues jumping, black has a nice sente move there, and if black wants to be aggressive, he can even hane here. And at the moment, white stones have 0 eyes, and they're being pushed towards the edge of the board. So this is probably not a favorable result for white to want to play with. However, R12 is a very strong move, because remember, black has ignored white R8, and so R10 is now very weak. So what do you guys think is black's most common reply here? The general purpose standard black reply. Let's see, we have P10 and Q11 seem to be the general ideas. Yeah, congrats. Those are both of them the standard ways to play. So one choice, this is a very peaceful way for black to play. Black jumps, white jumps, black attacks, and white usually needs to defend his stones one more time with a third jump. And this is a pretty standard way to play. And then, yeah, depending on what's going on the board, sometimes black will attack R8, sometimes black will defend, again, his P17 corner. All sorts of things can happen from here. But this is a very peaceful, nice, calm way to play. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course. But if black wants to be more severe, he will play the other move, the diagonal. And this gets to more complexity. So now the question is, okay, what now? What does white do now? Which push? Oh, P. White should take. Let's see. We have Q13. We have Q12. We have R15. Good. Three good ideas. Absolutely. Okay, so yeah, this move is actually still viable. Absolutely, you can still play this way. If black smacks white on the head, this move works rather well. And the fighting continues. White can make a good sabaki move right here for some shape, and then just continue like this, and the fighting will continue on. And so yeah, that's definitely a playable way for white to move. Absolutely. This move is not really neither forceful nor fast, I guess, is my problem with it. It seems like black will probably just respond again. And White could probably get out here, but it just seems like the diagonal was too slow and lacking forcefulness. So I mean, it's not like white will immediately die now, but it's not the best way to get out for white. So this is a common move. This is actually a very, very common mistake. Do not play Q12 in your games. It is a bad, bad move. You will get yourself killed. The problem with it is that white will, or black will hit on the head, and then double Hane, and then attack the shape point. And now white isn't very happy. It looks at first like maybe white can launch a counterattack, like this. But the problem is black can just manage to get himself out. And it looks like this might be very painful for black, but actually black can just let white connect his stones. You know, this is not very painful for black to deal with because white still has 0 eyes. You know, black is developing himself a very nice top area, and white has still has 0 eyes. Actually, if black wants, he can actually consider making his stone here stronger. It depends what's going on the rest of the board. But regardless, white's group is floating with 0 eyes. Not a pleasant place to be in. If white doesn't do that, you know, if white just attempts to defend like so, this is just not going to be very pleasant for white to deal with. That's not to say that white is instantly going to die, but white is going to live with only the smallest amount of area, and black is going to develop himself basically everywhere, all around him. Yeah, this is not a pleasant place for white to be. Black is developing a huge wall, and all of white's stones have gotten him is close to nothing. So the push upwards is actually not a good move you want to play. But, yes, you suggested the knight jump. Someone suggested, I think, earlier. Yeah, this move is actually very good. P13. This, along with R15, we can consider this the other correct answer. So, of course, if black attempts to cut immediately, black can, of course, but white has a very nice move right now, actually. Anyone know what is white's move right now that's not the most intuitive one to see? But, well, S4 is the classic technique, but there's a slightly better move. Yeah, R15. This is a really fun move. Black can't defend his corner because then he dies. So black has to go back and defend, and then white gets to just rip apart black's precious corner. And black, of course, is not very happy with this in the slightest. Actually, white can probably even be more aggressive. And, well, this is actually very complicated. That one's pretty complex. But even this is basically acceptable for white to play with. And black's corner is in pieces. So it is not usually favorable for black to attempt to cut here. So instead, black generally takes this move to attempt to hit white at the shape point and threaten the cut. White then generally defends, and then black stands up, and then white jumps, and then black jumps, and this is probably what we could consider one of the most standard variations. And from here, white has all sorts of moves depending on what's going on the rest of the board. If white has friends up top, he could consider trying to turn with A. If white wanted to pressure black's corner or make himself more stable, he could shoulder hit at B. There's all sorts of choices. Or if white wanted to be really vicious, he could even try attaching at C, but that's a particularly risky move that I would not recommend unless your stones are very strong in the area. But yeah, this is the basic sequence, along with the R15 sequence that you will most commonly see. Or at least you should most commonly see, I should say. So that about oh, Q14, huh? Let's see, Q14. Q14 seems kind of floating. Oh, after? After what? After R12? Like this? Nope. No, this is Q14 after R12. Oh. Ah, like this. Oh, okay. I understand. That's not usually one of the moves that you'll see, mainly because white still has some shape problems. First of all, black will probably strengthen himself like this. And if white defends like this, black can, of course, sneak under here to rip out eyes. And then black can play aggressively with this knight's jump and continue his attack. If white just responds like this, this can get a little more complicated depending on how you want to play. If you really want to be complicated, you could try even something like this and just dare white to try and counter. But this is a little too vicious, maybe. This seems okay. This seems acceptable. And it seems like white still does not have himself eyes. So black is fairly satisfied with the result. You could actually probably do this, and it's fine. Yeah, this is probably fine. And white still needs to definitively make himself eye space. So black can definitely work with this. So yeah, it's not that Q14 is a horrible move. It's just not the best move to get out as white. But if we just make a small, subtle change on the board, it can really warp what the best move is. For example, if we move to, let's see, where is that variant? For instance, let's move one space closer. This is, I'm sure, something you're also you're all familiar with. Black has made himself, rather than a 5-space extension, a 4-space extension. And so then the question we have to ask is, well, does this change anything? Or is it still the same situation? What are white's options? Any ideas? White to play and go into the top right. Anyone? Let's see, we have P18, R13, Q15. Definitely some viable suggestions. Interesting moves to look at, one and all. Okay, well, if no, I meant invading the upper right position as a whole. It doesn't necessarily have to be the corner, just the upper right position. So it could be R11 that you're attacking rather than directly the corner. So this move is very unusual. I suppose if black wants, he can probably just play like this. But it seems like white stones are just going to be low and not particularly useful for white. And then at the end of the day, black can probably do something along these lines. Black is probably too happy with that. So let's take a look at some of these. So this move, Q15 seems a little bit too nice to black. Even if black just defensively plays like this, white can't really link up his stone to his R9 stone. White can't hane. Oh, here? Seems like the cut is the obvious counter. Well, black has a few options here. Black can give up the one stone, like this, and just build himself up a really, really powerful wall. And this is generally fine with black, yeah. That's fine with black. Or if black really wants, he can just continue being vicious and just, you know, daring white into a fight. So yeah, the Hane there is probably not ideal. But B, yeah, once again, the same technique is usable here. But white has a little bit less maneuvering room here. So the possible moves for white to play afterwards are shrunken. Nevertheless, they still exist. So what is black's next move? Yep, Q12, nice and simple. Now once again, white should not play Q13. Q13 ends even more poorly for white than it does in the other situation. You know, black just strikes the vital point, and white's shape is, I suppose we could say, not very happy. If black wanted to really be vicious, he might even try this move, to just literally try and kill white, although it's a little bit thin, but it seems to be okay if black really wanted to be vicious. So that's not a good option. So in terms of other moves, R15 is still a great move, and if black extends his stone, white jumps, and then black can jump, and then white can jump, and white manages to get out his stone, and fight commences from here. Now we have a big fight. If black attempts to be more aggressive, white has a few options. The first option is white can start himself a ko-fight, like this. And this becomes a very large ko, of course. If white wins the ko, he'll probably be able to take a chunk out of black's corner and make his Q12 stones very weak. On the other hand, if black wins the ko, he will have himself a rather solid upper right. So only play this way if you are prepared to start a ko. But let's say that as white you don't want to start a ko. What might be another option for white? Any ideas? White does not want to start a ko. What else can he play? Is white just out of luck? Is there any other move white could manage that can get him an okay result? S15 might work, but seems unnecessarily hard for white to make it work. Well, one choice is black just doing this, and I suppose white could live in here, so maybe this is possible. Yeah, white could probably live, but yeah, if black does this, then white is probably unhappy. White can technically manage to escape if he does this, but hard to say that white is really thrilled by this happening. Q16. Well, that's an interesting move. I don't think it quite works out here. The idea itself is good if you want to follow up with S16 afterwards, but actually one of the best moves is just S16. This is the only other way to play in general. If you can't make a ko, then you really just need to play this way. So let's see what happens. If black slices on through forcefully, or if black slices through forcefully, white can play this way and make life for himself in the corner. That's not very good for black. So black will usually want to do something else. If black attempts to do this, white has a good counter. No, the latter doesn't work, but actually you can still get a good result, a very interesting trade result, because white can go here. And so you give black a good sized corner, but you turn Q12 into just about captured stones. So this is an interesting trade that you can do as white. Why what? Oh, why Q10? Q10? Oh, to seal black's 2 stones in and solidify the shape. If we compare what happens, and white gets this move, now we have a very different situation. White stones are weak here. Ah, other choices. Let's see. So, P10. Well, P10, the problem with P10 is it looks better at first glance, but black actually has some interesting forcing moves, like this. So, hard to say that it's going to be amazing for white, depending on what happens from here. There's a lot of annoying AGA, I guess is the main point. It's a lot of extra AGA you don't like. As for P12... Oh, there is still AGA. Yeah, no, there is AGA there, but it's the kind of AGA. Here, for instance, if black attempts to play a move like this, white still has a forcing move right here, which is he can't capture the 4 stones, but he can certainly get 2 free Ataris, which are really, really nice. Or if white wants to be more vicious, he can consider playing like this. And this can get very complicated. But even just pushing up there and being able to, knock twice, or just to go once here and keep up the fight is playable for white, although a little nicer. This is really the more vicious way to play as white in this case. So yeah, there is some AGA left, but white has gotten himself a fairly good position nevertheless. So those are the basic variants, and there's really not much variety in terms of what else white can do. It's almost a one-way street. Once black goes here, it's almost the only move is to play here. So let's take a look at another slightly different situation. What if it is one closer once again? So is there anything left for white? Does white have any way in? Or is black just sealed? Ah, yes, R14, of course. The classic move. But now black once again plays that handy-dandy diagonal. And now white is in a much closer situation. Ah, you know the variations very well, it seems. Yes, Q15 is not the most intuitive move, but it actually works very, very well here. So let's see what happens. If black attempts to seal white in, white has a very, very clever tessage. First, white pushes and cuts, and black can win this fight. So white isn't using R17 to steal the corner. But suddenly white plays this move. And now R17 starts shining because black can no longer cut here. This cut fails miserably because R17 allows white to capture those two stones, and black should just resign the game if this happens. So black needs to, play another move, and then white can play another move, and then the fighting continues with both sides. Now, once again, this is a tighter position for white to be in than the other situations, and you only want to do this as white in general if maybe white has some help in this corner, or maybe this stone, this R10 stone, has some help around the center. So usually white will only want to do this if he has some help in the area, because if white's stones are just alone, it's a little bit hard for white to fight. Now let's say black just protects. If that's the case, it's a pretty standard result. Both sides just start jumping out and seeing who can get ahead, who wants to try a knight's jump, and yeah, the fighting continues from here. There's all sorts of variations. Knight's jump, one space jump on either side. Really just depends on what's going on. But this is the starting sequence that you should expect to find. Not really much else here. Someone asked earlier for the R13 move. I guess, don't know how much I like it. It seems like black will just do this. Yeah, don't touch weak stones unnecessarily. It's like, so this formation is like, let's say the situation was like this, and now as white, are you going to play this move? It's probably unlikely that you're going to want to play this as white. And then black will just play here. And that's the equivalent of what it's doing. So most likely you don't want to do. So those are some basic variations, but let's go into a slightly different enclosure. This is double enclosure, what is commonly referred to as a double wing formation. And we talked about the move a little bit earlier, but who remembers, what is the standard white technique here to get into this formation? Yep, P15 is a fantastic technique here. If we compare, your opponent's best move is your best move. If we give the move to black, suddenly black's formation transforms from a very nice double-winged formation into almost entirely solid territory. Q10 or R10 is maybe the only stone here that can be has any possibility of being attacked. But this just does huge help for black. Black's the entire upper right is starting to look like it's black's. So it's very, very important that white get this move. So what are the variations for black now? What are black's responses? Any ideas? Oops. Let's see, we have O16 as a viable response. Anything else? Yeah, and Q14. And 99.9% of the time, these two are almost always the only moves. I mean, sometimes you'll see a few others scattered around, but almost always these two are the moves to focus on. So if black goes here, it usually gets very simple for white. White just plays there, makes a tiger's mouth, and makes a two-space jump. And, pure, simple, nothing complicated. Just move in and split R10. And black gets himself a slightly larger corner, and white gets himself the ability to attack R10. Nothing particularly complicated about it. if black takes the other one, there's a lot of complicated variations. Should white R15 first? Ah, good question. Very good question. So usually, this is playing R15 directly is something of a more old-fashioned move. It's not seen as much anymore because what black will usually do is just extend up to Q16 and then play this move. And now the situation isn't particularly pleasant for white. So, I mean, I suppose white could attach on top and then double Hane. Oh, wait, dealing with lag. Something like this to run his way out. Ah, could white ignore the peep? Ah. Not a bad idea. So let's see. White then ignores. Well, this isn't a terrible idea, but you know, the question you have to ask yourself is: would you, as white, would you prefer this, or would you prefer this? And I think the latter situation is better for white. So it's not right. So your idea is good. It's not like it's a horrible idea at all, but this is better. So you know, if that gets 7 out of 10, this gets 10 out of 10. So yeah, it's just that this is better. But yeah, that's what you want to do, and there's no reason to give black that opportunity to slice through when you don't have to. So the other move is this one. And if you're not careful, this can get you into a whole mess of trouble if you're not ready for it. What about Q15? Right here? Oops. Yeah, you don't usually want to attach to weak stones. I imagine that this is a fairly simple way for white to play. Then if black moves up like that, if white has a ladder, he could even consider playing like this. Otherwise, even this seems alright. And then something along these lines, perhaps. Black can connect underneath, but white gets himself very strong shape on the outside. So white keeps his third line territory all around, but any chance of white building a moyo is basically destroyed. Black will get a 100% alive center group immediately and in Sente. So if all you want to do is just keep raw points, I suppose you could maybe try it, but it's usually just not a great move because you're just making white so strong, unnecessarily so, with your attachment. So as soon as the lag stops slowing me down, come on. So the other most common choice is this one, and of course the obvious purpose being to protect the right. And then white's general response is here. And so from here there are a wild variety of moves that can be played. Actually, one of the most common moves that all of you should be aware of, because on KGS it's very common, and you usually shouldn't play this way. It's a very brutish way of playing. And some players, even some Don players, think it's just the greatest technique in the world, is just to cut here. And then, you know, some players just, for some reason, think that this is just, you know, the greatest thing that could ever happen to their go. And the problem is, black can make some good points, and, you know, sometimes maybe black could do this. But you're basically giving up K16 for dead, first of all. K16 is crying and screaming in agony from the result of this. But that being said, you know, you make a big corner, but it's just a very brutish way to play. You know, in some situations it might be okay, but usually not the best. it doesn't increase your corner by that much, and it gives white a very nice continuation. So let's see, what other responses are there? Any ideas? What else can black do in terms of his response? Any ideas from anyone? Ooh, N17, creative. P14, O18, N14, Q17. All very interesting moves. Okay, these are good moves for starters. Sure. So let's take a look at these. So this move is actually one of the more interesting moves that I've seen. This move basically has one purpose and one purpose alone. And this move basically says that I refuse to give white a single additional forcing move. And the idea is just black is just saying I want the corner and I don't want white to make any more forcing moves against me. And it's very good at doing that, but it's not the most aggressive move in the world. So what white can sometimes do is in response is something along these lines, and continue to attack K16. And it really depends on the situation. I mean, if you just do not want white stones to become stronger at all, period, you can play Q17. But just know that it's not really any kind of aggressiveness. It doesn't really do much damage. It's just saying that you want to keep white weak for later. But nevertheless, Q17 has its uses. So this move is not really that good for black, because black is ignoring the stone that got attached. So if white just wants to play very, very simply, a very simple way for white to play is like this. Nothing particularly crazy, just make some eyes. And it's hard to say that P14 has really been a huge boon for black. I mean, we can't really say, oh, look at all the points it's gained us, or oh, look at how it's destroyed white's group. I mean, it's just, it's not really doing that much for black. So N15, this is a particularly vicious move. This is a particularly vicious move. I guess my problem with it is that it seems like N14 is just going to be floating around a bit too much. Black can play this a few times, or white can play this a few times, and then like this, and finish up like this, and it just seems like N14 is floating. And black has made himself a big right side, but it's expected that black makes a big right side. I mean, black already had invested 3/4 enclosure, an extension at Q14, and and an extension into R10. So it's expected that black makes a good right side, but black's other two stones at N14 and K16 just kind of look silly here. I mean, what are they doing? They're just against this powerful white wall. So N14 is probably not the ideal choice. So this move is kind of fancy. I like this move. It looks cool, but unfortunately I don't think it works very well. Let's see. I'm actually not entirely sure how to respond to it. This seems like an interesting response, though. If black attempts to just Atari the stone, white can manage like this. And this is actually not horrible, perhaps, for black. Black can manage like this. But white isn't sad. Incidentally, black can seal white in. This is an interesting life and death problem. Who can tell me how does white live here? In the corner, white to play? To live in the corner? This is maybe a 1 down level life and death problem. So if white attempts this, he just dies. This is dead shape for white. What, like this? And now white to play. Q18, huh? Yeah, white's still dead though. Yeah, S16 is not the move, although it's the right idea. The key, rather than S16, is actually to play S18 right off the bat. And this looks a little bit strange, but if black attempts this move, then white makes himself live in the corner very simply. Now the trickier one is if black goes here, and what does white do? White has a very funky move that makes himself live. Any ideas? What's the move? It's looks a little bit strange at first glance, but it's a great way to make 2 eyes. No ideas? Well, the move is actually R19. Very clever move. And if white plays this way, no matter what black does, white can manage to live. So just an interesting side note on life and death. But yeah, that being said, usually the attachment here is not the ideal choice for black. So actually the two most common responses are C and the cut over here. Definitely the 2 most common responses. So if black does this, what does white do next? Any ideas? White to play next? Resign. Yeah, there's a Tessigy. Not a terrible idea to double Hane. Almost. Yes, P18. That's the way to do it. You slice on through. And then you play like this. And then you make a very, very nice shape move at M15. And it looks like white's shape is really weak. But if black moves to try and cut, white just plays like this. And now K16 looks kind of silly. So this is a good way for white to play to split black up. Let's see. So yeah, this almost looks good, but the problem is when this happens. And now white doesn't have a ladder. And without the ladder, this just white's position basically collapses without a ladder. So if white had a ladder, you could play this way. So that's mostly it for the O18 move. The final choice is the very strong move. O16 is a very ladder dependent move. If white has a ladder, this is much better for white. If white doesn't have a ladder, then white's in some deep trouble. So you really need the ladder to play P15 in the first place, because this will just end up hurting you. if you don't have the ladder. So another interesting continuation, which is actually reverted almost from the N17 attachment, is if this happens, well, we already talked about what happens here, but this is actually a playable way for black to move. And then black can either rip out white's base and then chase him in the center, or, as we talked about, black can seal white inside and let him live. Both are possible. Just depends on what's going on the board. So yeah, that's most of it for the P15 move. Alright, let's look at one more segment of choices before we call it a night. Let's see, where's that? Ah, here. The far enclosure. And the far enclosure is a little bit rarer in today's Go, but nevertheless, you will find it on occasion. And there are also a lot more interesting ways to invade it. So when you have a formation like this, the possible invasions you can make are, first of all, you still have the standard choice, like this. And, you know, just as we talked about, this will happen. And now, instead of attempting to, you know, run out wildly like this, white has a very clever move of attaching inside at the R17 point. And if black just meekly stands up, white is very satisfied. White will generally get something like this. And black is usually horrified by this result, because R12 is just much too close, and so is Q13. This is usually very good for white. So usually black will honey like this, and this actually gets extremely complicated. There are many variations that go here. We don't have time, unfortunately, to discuss all of them. But suffice to say, white can either cross-cut and start a very complicated fight for who will live and who will die, or white can descend downward, and if black also descends downward, whites can consider cutting here. And now it depends on the ladder. If black can ladder white's 2 stones, then black wins, basically, and this is horrible for white. If he can't, then white's pretty happy. So if black doesn't have the ladder, he can just pull back. But if he does, this is pretty happy for white. White is basically stolen the corner out from under him. Oh, and then there's another interesting technique that you should all know for the far enclosure. This move, this kind of shoulder hit, becomes much more powerful against or when you have a far enclosure, because when you have it, it further opens up invasions like this. And black fears white's connection a lot. It's even, actually, let me move over to the closest one. Yeah, this is the most severe way to do it. I should show you. This is a fantastic way for black to or white to attack black, because after black defends, white can play this very clever move, and now black has no choice but to play like this. And even if black resists with everything he has, at the end of the day, white will still manage to just make life inside. So Q14 is a very cool technique to know. Yeah, it's very beautiful, actually. It's a beautiful technique of sneaking in. Of course, if black, you know, stubbornly decides to protect his corner, white will just play down here and be thrilled. Actually, the other technique that black has is attempt to counterattack. And now, actually, it can get more complicated. White actually needs to play a different move here. this move is no longer that good for white, because if this happens, black can actually defend like this. And now white's shape is very awkward. And it's almost impossible for white to launch any kind of attack against 017 just because white's shape is so bad. So actually, white needs to be a little bit fancier and play like this. And if black nicely plays on top, then once again Q14 works brilliantly to force black to respond. And then white makes himself a corner like this. And once again, a very simple and effective corner for white. Now this time actually, black can play Q17. And now it can get very interesting. White can make a cute little crosscut. Yeah, the ladder, but if the ladder doesn't work, because if white plays there, it's not really a ladder. There's no ladder for white. So the technique that white needs to use actually is this, and then this. And if black attempts to capture immediately, white will just happily shove him down to the second line and escape, like this. So generally black needs to respond right here. And that gives white the chance to play there, and then to play a very, very beautiful, beautiful move, which is R15, which just works magnificently with the Q18's AGA to disconnect black's R13 stones. And if black now plays here, then white can make himself very strong shape and either hane on top or split underneath, depending on the situation. And vicious fighting continues. So with the far enclosure, one of the keys to remember, especially if you have a two-space extension, is that the far enclosure is far more invadable than the close enclosure. There are actually invasions that you can make into the tight enclosure with P17 and R16. There are invasions you can make in there, but the far enclosure is much easier to get into. So Q14 is a great way to do it. So yeah, that about finishes up today's lecture on attacking 3-4 enclosures and how to get in. There are a number of variations we still haven't looked at actually. There's a huge, huge variety of moves in these kinds of situations. But just understanding a few basics about it, either reduce or how to invade and how to keep your stones light once you have invaded, will suddenly show you that these really fancy frameworks that your opponents build are actually still really open to invade. And it's just a matter of knowing the right spot to invade it with. So just because someone has a 3-4 enclosure and an extension 3 or 4 spaces away does not by any means mean that it is all solid territory. So with that being said, I will call it a night and see you all next week. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Let me figure out how to pause this.